Welcome to Jordan's eastern deserts. My next journey takes me deep into Jordan's eastern deserts. Now this is a real borderland. This is the far eastern edge of the Roman Empire, and that is a place where modern borders, the borders of Iraq, Saudi, Jordan and Syria, all converge. I'll be here for the next couple of days, travelling these lesser known frontiers, visiting crumbling castles and searching out a few geopolitical and cartographic curiosities. So yeah, join me as I explore Jordan's eastern deserts. Right, we've driven east from Madaba. We've left the King's Highway and we're past Amman, and we're now heading east, and we've just stopped off on the side of the road. We're kind of in the middle of these desert landscapes. The landscapes changed so dramatically from the highlands that we were in, and now it's just flat. It's still cold, cloudy. It's a little bit sunnier than it was. But yeah, we're surrounded by these sort of basalt deserts they are. There's these black volcanic rocks just everywhere underfoot. Yeah, because this whole region was formed by volcanic activity millennia ago. But we're stopping here, not for the nature, but because this is an Umayyad castle. This is the first castle on the highway, one of several desert castles that are all UNESCO World Heritage listed. And this was effectively an Umayyad frontier in the 6th century. Before that, it was a Roman frontier as well. But we'll see more about that later when we visit Azraq. But the Umayyads were around from the 6th, 7th centuries, and they helped to spread Islam across much of what became the Middle Eastern Islamic world. And they built these great desert castles. They were used as hunting lodges, as lookouts, as stopovers, probably caravanserais, and for defence as well. So yeah, let's take a look inside. So this is Qasr Azraq, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You see these big stone walls, oaken doors. And look who it is. It's Claire, from Claire's Footsteps. Fancy seeing you here. How did you get up there? Oh yeah. Just heading into the stairwell. Find a way to the top. Thanks. Oh, cool. It's obviously not the hugest of castles, but still a lot of cool hidden passageways and vaults and centuries of graffiti on the wall. Oh. That's the end of the line. Dangerous area. Please do not enter. Oh, looks like the fun area. I'm just stood above the central courtyard behind me. And as far as my history knowledge goes, which admittedly I'm not a professor or even really a historian, I just enjoy history. But the Umayyads effectively were descended from Bedouin tribes, I believe, and they emerged from the desert sands around the 6th or 7th century, and on their way west they built places like this to kind of fortify their frontiers and to use as launch pads to effectively conquer the rest of the Middle East. I know the Umayyads set up shop in Baghdad eventually, Damascus, all the major cities, and they went from being a nomadic people to conquering much of the Islamic world. So yes, pretty impressive as far as empire building goes, and it all starts in little places like this on the frontiers of the Arabian lands. So yeah, we're in the in the middle of the desert, but it's actually pretty cold today. And these rooms are empty, sparse. There's a dead pigeon down there. Graffiti on the walls. So imagine for a long time these desert castles would have lain empty. I think the Bedouin tribes would use them as meeting points, or they'd be landmarks in the desert really for a long time. And fast forward though, and during the Arab Revolt, during the First World War, when old Lawrence of Arabia was operating in these parts and stirring up rebellions to bring the downfall of the Ottoman Empire about, the Arab freedom fighters would use these castles as stopping points, supply lines, supply bases, and then attack the Ottomans from places like this. So that was Qasr al-Hanra. First stop complete. Now we're going to continue east along the highway, and then from there we're actually going to try and head a little bit south to the Saudi border. We're about less than 100 kilometers from it now, so that's about an hour's driving on these empty roads. And obviously we can't cross the Saudi border, we don't have visas. We've got a rental car from Jordan, and I don't think they'd let us take it over. But it's an interesting spot that I'll explain more about when we're there, because that is one of the most interesting cartographical oddities, errors, mistakes almost, that kind of sums up the sort of desert borders that these countries have. It's a place called Winston's Hiccup, named after the old man himself, Winston Churchill. All right, yalla. We are now on the highway to Saudi Arabia. We're about 50k from the border. Okay, so I'm just going to try and explain with the help of Google Maps exactly where we are trying to get to. So if you look at the border of Jordan, it's incredibly straight lines. The border with Saudi starts down near Aqaba, and that's very unnatural as well. And from there, the Saudi border has, I believe, 9 individual straight lines, and all of them sort of have very sharp turns and corners in the desert. And then this piece here, this concave triangle, you can see we're sort of heading towards, that's one of the major border crossings into Saudi Arabia. However, the triangle itself is better known as Winston's Hiccup. Here we go, signs for Saudi Arabia. So Google Maps is telling us that to get back to where we need to go, we need to drive into Saudi Arabia and turn around in Saudi Arabia and then come back up the other side of the highway. Obviously we can't go to Saudi Arabia because we don't have the visas, and we can't take the hire car there. And I'm not even sure if foreigners can cross this border. It might be a local only one. But anyway, that's not an option for us. So we're hoping that Google Maps is wrong. I think it is probably wrong. We'll find out. But yeah, we're hoping, because at the moment we're on like a 2-lane highway, and there's a big sort of central reservation that you can't really cross. But I can't imagine there's no turning round point or U-turn point or way to get back on the other side of the road without going into Saudi. We'll find out. Okay, we're now edging closer to Saudi, and we're probably about 10 or 15 kilometers from the border itself. We're not actually going to go to the customs post or anything like that, because I don't think they'll be too happy with us filming. But as soon as we're sort of parallel with Winston's Hiccup, because that kind of juts into Jordan, we'll find a nice place to stop, and then I'll explain a little bit more about how it came about. We are so close to Saudi. Right, so I'm looking at the map, and we're now 4 miles north of Winston's Hiccup. By Winston's Hiccup, I mean the concave triangular wedge of border that juts into Jordan from Saudi Arabia. So as the crow flies, that's literally just 4 miles south of here, and it's just across the basalt desert though, so there's no way we could reach that without a 4x4. So this is pretty much as close as we could get to it without off-roading and probably getting stuck in the desert or something stupid. So we're turning it back around. We're not going to try and cross the Saudi border because that's not going to happen. Okay, so this is as close as we're getting to the Saudi border, but this is such a fascinating geopolitical oddity because it kind of tells you a lot about how the borders of the Middle East were actually drawn. Now, it's called Winston's Hiccup because old Winston Churchill, supposedly, he was getting drunk. He was drinking some wine, whiskey, gin. He was a big alcoholic, basically. But an excellent prime minister during the war. Now, before all that happened, before World War II, Winston Churchill was in the Foreign Office or the Colonial Service, I believe. And in the 1920s, after the First World War, the Brits and the French were effectively redrawing the borders of what were the Ottoman Empire. Now, in 1916, the Sykes-Picot Agreement was secretly agreed between the French and the British. The Arabs weren't involved at all, which is rather shameful. And after that, they were kind of dividing up the Middle East, and Transjordan, as it was known, the British Mandate, needed its borders drawn. And apparently Winston Churchill, sometime in the early 1920s, was dividing up the land, deciding what would become Saudi and what would become Jordan and Syria and Iraq. And at some point, he'd had a bit too much to drink. Now he was looking at his map, drawing the lines, and if you trace the Saudi border from Aqaba in the south, where Jordan was specifically given a small Red Sea area, the Saudi border then follows very straight line. And then this one, Winston's Hiccup, which is behind me, that juts out at the weirdest angle. And apparently it was just an error. It was he was sat there drunk and he just moved his pen. That's why they call it Winston's Hiccup. Now it's important because it shows you a lot about how the borders of the Middle East were made. They're unnatural, they're straight, and as much as I can't believe the story of Winston's Hiccup is actually true, I imagine there were a bunch of white, British, French men sat around looking at maps, drinking wine, whiskey, gin, and then drawing the borders that we see today. And because of these rather unusual borders, in the decades that followed the making of these Middle Eastern boundaries, you've obviously had conflict after conflict. And a lot of that comes down to the cartographic mistakes or indifference of the colonial powers in making these countries. So yeah, now we'll be leaving Winston's Hiccup behind and heading further north, or back north, towards a place called Azraq, which was the frontier of the Roman Empire. Yeah, this is a land where boundaries and borders are always sort of intersected and crossed, going back thousands of years. We made it from the Saudi border to the town of Azraq. This is probably the largest town in eastern Jordan. So it's the hub of all the activities and travel, etc. And we just passed a huge military base on the way into town, like absolutely sprawling, with lines of barbed wire and concrete walls, etc. But we've come here to a place called Azraq Lodge, and it's right next to the military base because this used to be a military hospital, but now it's been turned into a hotel guest house. Yeah, this is the lodge overlooking Azraq. There's a Land Rover Defender outside, and these look like the sort of original brick walls of the military hospital, so they're all made from the sort of basalt stone, sort of quarried from the desert here. And yeah, we'll see if we can take a peek around, maybe learn a bit more about it. We're doing a video about Eastern Jordan,
Yeah.
So Azraq, Eastern deserts. Yeah, exactly.
What area that you visited here in Azraq? Did you visit?
So we stopped at the castles on the highway, and we just got here actually. So yeah.
You know, the Royal Society.
Yeah, you like the conservation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's care about only just conservation of nature and making reserves around Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
We have Shamari Wildlife Reserve, we have the Azraq Wetland Reserve, and we have this site.
Yeah, we were going to go to the wetland reserve afterwards. Yeah.
So you are welcome.
Cool.
Just be careful from the west area.
The west area. Okay, but this area is okay.
This area here around you can take it.
Okay, cool.
You are welcome.
Yeah, we're right next to the military base still, so you can hear fighter jets flying overhead. And they told us not to film on one side of the hotel. Curious place for a lodge. It's very cool though. So the guy on the front desk at the lodge was telling us that it was used largely during World War II actually. Before Jordan became independent. So Jordan became independent in 1946 after the Second World War. During the Second World War, this was a strategic part of the Middle Eastern theatre. So all of this would have been under the control of the British and Commonwealth Army, I imagine. And yeah, now it's a nice little lodge. But it's run by the RSCN, which is the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature. And that's like the Jordanian natural protection services, or whatever you call it, conservationists. It's a terrible way to explain it. But they run the wetland reserves, which over this way, which is like an oasis in the desert basically, and we'll be checking that out shortly. So it's a short little hop across town, a little hire car, and we're now at the Azraq Wetland Reserve. Okay, so behind this building should be the wetlands of Eastern Jordan.
Welcome to Arab Revolt. This is your first time being here?
Yes.
First of all, usually we have 3 options, but right now, because of the time we are closing time, it's between 4:30 and 5 to 4:45. The basic trail available, it's around 1 kilo. On your road, you're going to see water trails, rustic bird hide, and then back to picnic area. The price for the Jordanian, it's 8 dinar. If you have a resident ID, it's 6 per person.
Oh no, we don't.
Then it's 8.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Or from the outside trail, I will give you the instruction, then you can go.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, your trail start from the right side on the bridge over there. On your road, you're gonna see Umayyad wall. You have to walk on it for a while. Then back to the wood trail, rustic bird hide, and then you come from the left side. It's around the trail, easy to find the way. The signs will give you more information or instruction inside the trail. When you finish, you can use the picnic area if you have something to eat or smoke, because it's not allowed inside the trail.
Okay. All right, so we made it inside the Azraq Wetland Reserve. Now, we were just speaking to the one of the guys here, one of the managers. He didn't really want to be filmed talking about, he didn't want to be on camera basically, but I'll tell you what he said. I don't lose my sunglasses. So this is one of the largest water reserves in Jordan. It's not huge, but it does supply 1/4 of the water in the entire country. So it's absolutely vital, but apparently it's been effectively drying up for the last couple of decades. There's too many people in Jordan, too much water is needed, and there's just not enough reserves. And all of this comes from a basin, so under the surface of the earth, some of which is actually over the border in Syria. 5%, he said, and 95% is here in the desert area. And obviously that water's kind of disappearing, being used or drying up thanks to climate change as well. And they're sort of, trying to manage that and restock the water, basically, he said. But yeah, as you can see, it's actually quite dry this time of year, perhaps, although it has been raining. So it's not the sort of vast wetlands you might expect to see. There's actually very little water here by the looks of it. I think we'll find some more further on. But yeah, this entire town really exists just because this oasis was here. And you know, even then, a couple of decades ago it used to be a lot larger. The Bedouin, before they sort of settled down, used to come here intermittently as a sort of reliable water source. And then again, the guy in the centre was telling us that in the turn of the 20th century, just as happened in Oman, a lot of Chechens, Circassians and refugees from the Caucasus region actually came here and settled the area around the oasis and started building the town of Azraq. And so again, they've got people from, you know, widespread lands from a long way off coming here and sort of building the place up. Yeah, and apparently they introduced water buffalo, but kind of a sad story. The depletion of the water means that most of the buffalo have now gone. They sort of disappeared, they just couldn't sustain them. And our man back in the reserve was saying that they've kind of reintroduced a few, but the numbers are just not what they sort of used to be. What they do have though is a lot of birds. There's over 300 species of migratory bird which come here. We may see a few, we may not. So if you can see this picture here, this was Azraq Oasis in 1966. There's a man up to his waist in water fishing. And this is the same spot today. So yeah, it's completely dry almost. There's no birds, but there are 3 fighter jets flying overhead from the military base. I imagine they scare the birds off too. But yeah, even half a century ago, all of this was still an oasis. It was still full of water. And yeah, it's kind of scary really to see this kind of stuff. See how dry it is now. We're just following the trail around now. And yeah, it's not quite as wet as I was expecting. It's incredibly dry. All thanks to over-pumping, overuse. So yeah, hopefully you can hear me over the noise of the fighter jets, which are still flying overhead. This was in fact the first nature reserve in Jordan, established by the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature, the same people that run the lodge that we popped into. Yeah, and they've now got tons of these all over Jordan, with places like that we've seen elsewhere, the Dana Biosphere Reserve and places up in the north. But yeah, this is a Ramsar conservation site as well, which means it's a unique special area of wetlands. So hopefully they can find ways to restore it to what it was, not just for the place itself, but so that Jordan actually has enough water to survive off. Halfway around the trail, and I think we found the main body of water now. Oh wow, that is glorious. Yeah, it's such a shame that it's just confined to this small area. It's not huge. And again, they still use this water all across Jordan. But yeah, let's see if we can see some birds. A few ducks or mallets there, I think. Starling maybe. Oh, and over there. May not see it on here, but just creeping around in the bushes over there was a water buffalo. Cool. So yeah, they've got a couple. Oh, over here as well. So there's a few. They were reintroduced. So as I was saying, the Chechens apparently brought them here originally because they're not native to Jordan. But when the Chechens settled here after they came as refugees from the Great War between Russia and the mountain people of the Caucasus. The Ottoman Empire allowed them to settle in parts of the Middle East, and the oasis drew them here, and they brought with them the buffalo. Oh, amazing! So the water buffalo have come down to the banks. Just trying to zoom in so you can see it a bit better. Just moving through the reeds there, rustling around. Aside from the constant buzz of fighter jets overhead, it's actually very peaceful here, very calm, very serene, completely unlike any other part of Jordan we've been to so far. This bird hide for bird watching is built in the Chechen and Druzy style of architecture, sort of a combination of the two. Sort of a memorial to them, I suppose. Appreciation of them. Yeah, that's what we can see through there. Small oasis in the desert, the only water source for hundreds of kilometers really. Become a refuge for migratory birds, buffalo, and people as well. You know, the Chechens as well, the Druzy who came over from other parts of Arabia, like Lebanon. And now apparently there's been a large refugee camp for Syrians on the edge of town itself. I'm not sure if we've seen it. I'm not sure if it's still there or in the same scale that it was. But at one point, apparently it was one of the largest Syrian refugee camps in the world. So we made it just in time to Azraq Castle. As you can see, it's made from the volcanic basalt stones that we found around us. And for an Englishman, this one's quite an interesting spot, because this was the fortress of T.E. Lawrence, otherwise known as Lawrence of Arabia. So during the Arab Revolt, after he instigated the revolution against the Ottomans, 1917 he set up base here with the Arab rebels, and he launched a lot of attacks against the Ottomans from this castle here. He spent the winter of 1917 here, I believe, and the downfall of the Ottoman Empire was instigated here.
Will we start here? It's good here.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd check I got 5 JD first.
Photo. Oh my god. I am very famous actually, maybe.
Well, we might be famous after.
Yeah, I'm sure I got 5. What was your name, sorry?
My name is Rafat.
Rafat. I'm Richard. Nice to meet you. Richard.
Richard?
Richard.
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 Yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Richard,
you.
Claire. Nice to meet you.
Claire?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very easy. Your name.
So you're a local
Richard.
guide.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're from Azraq?
Yes,
Or-
of course.
Ah, cool.
I born here and I live here. This guy.
Oh,
this
amazing.
city Here. Yes, of
Cool.
course.
So we're going to learn a little bit about the castle from our friend here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, you are welcome the first on the Qasr Azraq. This is the Qasr Azraq, the first built by the Roman, the beginning in 3rd century. The leader Izz-ad-Din Aybak in 1237 AD, and 13th century rebuilt again this castle. And the last user this castle, Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes.
Do you know Lawrence of Arabia?
Yes.
I've seen the film or the movie.
Yeah.
But he was using this castle just only 1 week here.
1 week.
Only
is
1
that
week, actually in the winter, and they go from Syria, they were the Turkish, and they're fighting the Turkish from Syria. We'll be starting here at this castle, and they go from Damascus.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can see the first entrance here, you can see the stone walls here, from basalt stones.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Still
realize
wet in the
that.
door. Yeah, and the gate is 1 ton each. This is designed
Oh,
in
wow.
Mamluk period, and this is the original in period of Roman. You can
Wow.
open it now, or for you?
Yeah. we can
Me?
have-
Okay. Because you see the film.
Lead the way. Lead the way. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Some hefty doors.
Yeah, and actually this is design the door and the system the door to close it very easily, but to open it is very heavy.
Very difficult.
Yes, but I put in the hinge in here, and on the top I put from oil or the grease. You can very easily to open and close it. Look, to close it very easily. To open it is very heavy. Coming inside.
Okay, yalla.
Yalla.
Yalla, yalla,
Yes, yellow.
Yalla. It's a very big place
Oh,
here
wow,
inside.
it's
Yeah.
huge,
And
yeah.
outside you see this castle is very small, but,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
inside it's very bigger.
You step inside and
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
cavernous.
Yeah.
And at the top there, yeah, above the entrance, this is room Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
Go
this.
up there.
Yeah, let's go.
Yalla, let's go.
Yalla.
Yalla. Okay, so this room up here is where Lawrence of Arabia spent a week apparently while conquering the Ottomans. All right, so we're going to check out Lawrence of Arabia's old hotel room here.
So this is Lawrence of Arabia's room. This is where he hung out.
Oh yeah, one of the biggest rooms in the castle, I imagine. Yeah. Cool. We're ready.
Here we have the place. This is the room Lawrence of Arabia in 1917, because all the time he was staying Lawrence of Arabia in 1916 in Wadi Rum with Odi Abu Tayyih and Sharif Hussein and Prince Faisal and many people from Bedouin, the family from Bedouin in the Wadi Rum there. But they come here in 1917 using this castle or this the place just only 1 week and then to go to Damascus.
So yeah, Azraq Castle, built by the Romans. This used to be the old Roman frontier, the edge of the empire,
How old are you?
I'm
which stretched across the known world. And from here, everywhere east would have been outside the empire.
Water well there. Yeah, you see the water there?
Yeah. How long have you been a tour guide for?
Sorry?
How long have you been a tour guide for?
Here?
Yeah, or
I'm
anywhere.
20 years ago here.
20 years?
20 years. Wow.
Okay.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
That is a
okay.
deep
Oh
one.
wow,
Let us very deep, just 11 meters down. Just
Okay.
it's high enough.
yeah, that's fine here. Yes. Okay. So, okay, listen to me, my friend. They come water in here in the well beside this castle. The name is Oasis Azraq here, because this area in the old lots of plenty the waters and animals and the bird and the fish. But in 1970, they go water or attack the water to Amman, Zarqa, Mafraq, Irbit, another cities in Jordan here. You can see now this area is nothing the water and here in the well.
Oh wow.
But before 1970, you see the full water everywhere here in this area until 10 kilometers in the Azraq south inside. Lots of the waters here, this area in the whole. And very famous for the animals and the bird and the fish and the
Yeah.
catfish here.
Right.
Yeah, the Milstash, do you know?
No, so they
Yeah,
used to
it's
have
very
lots of
famous
fish.
in here, this
Yeah.
area. But more dry waters and other cities in
Yeah.
Jordan here. The water here, this area is down there.
Right.
You see the desert area here.
Yeah, so there's not much water left
No.
like it used to be.
And now
Not
is
like
the
it used
last
to be.
Oasis Azraq in the wetland reserve or natural
Yeah,
reserve.
we just came from
here
there.
6 kilometers. You
Yeah.
can see
Yeah,
there,
we just
yeah.
went.
Wow.
A little lake, a little fish without animals,
Yeah.
without beer.
But
We saw water buffalo.
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the water used to come all
Yeah.
all
of
around the
course,
town.
yeah. And for
Yeah.
the government, for the water, to take it wetland reserve, natural reserve, 1 million, 1 million, I don't know this, about this the number actually, but
Yeah.
2 million for 1 year to take it the water for the wetland reserve, because it's finished for the water to government, is finished.
Oh wow.
You see the no any water in the wetland reserve. You
Right.
see the desert. Yeah.
So it's all gone.
Yes, of
Huh.
course. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yalla.
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 let's
Yalla.
go.
So yeah, he was just telling us how all the water's gone, and you can see down here the well that used to, used to feed or nourish this entire castle is just completely empty. So yeah, and he said that the town used to be famous for its fish. Fish are all gone. Used to be famous for its wetlands and oases, and there's just the only bit left is the bit that we just saw. Yeah, it's sad, really.
It's a very big place here.
Yeah.
You need many times.
Yeah. Do you have many tourists here at the moment,
No,
or is
a
it
little
it's
tourist,
quiet?
yeah.
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 What is life like in Azraq? What's it like to live here and stuff? Like,
Oh my God, this
is that too tough? So people can kind of get a feel of what it's. You know.
Okay, sorry, my friend, because all the people here enjoy in this area here actually, from the Druze people.
Well, the Druze.
Yeah, Druze people. 10,000 people here
Yeah.
in this area here because my family here. I am Druze people.
Oh, so you're Druze.
Yeah, traditional, the original from Lebanon and Syria.
Yeah.
To come in here in 1925, another family to come in here in 1911. Yeah,
1911.
and stay here and life here from Azraq here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why did the Druze come from Lebanon?
Because before this area here, because lots of money, the waters here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why did they leave?
From Syria? We have you have a cow and sheep here to come in here this area because lots of money, the waters.
Oh,
and
I see.
This area, the green area here in the old.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it was a better place to live.
Of course, yeah. And
Yeah.
then I actually in 1925, because it's fighting for the French and Arab people, the leader Sultan Pasha al-Atrash from Druze people, yes.
Right.
Because many family to come in here, this area, and stay here on this side, this castle, 8 years ago.
Oh, okay. So they
Because,
lived here.
yeah, 8 years, yeah, used this castle.
Yeah.
And many family to come in here, not use, you can stay here because lots of many the family here. And they stay beside this castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, to take it outside this castle and the building at home, the family from Druze here. And used this castle in 1950 in the Department of Antiquities for the government. Used this castle actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because my family here actually.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
life actually
Yeah.
is life is without anything because all the people here, do you know, for example, any people in outside, I see this man in outside from Azraq.
Right.
Do you understand, my
Yeah,
friend?
yeah.
Yes.
You kind of know.
Yeah,
everyone.
I know
Yeah,
this man, but this man is an outside.
So you can
yes.
tell who lives here and who
Of
doesn't.
course,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
of course.
How
yeah.
many people live here?
10 years, sorry, 10 years,
10,000.
10,000.
10,000 people here from us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard there were
But we have another Azraq South, the Chechen,
Chechen.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
Chechen,
going to ask.
Cherkess, and the Bedouin people from
Ah, okay.
Bani Sakhr, Bani Kada, and it's the Bedouin people
Yeah.
in the Azraq South. But here in this Azraq, no, all the people here from the Druze.
Oh, okay,
Ah,
interesting.
I
So there's
see.
lots
It's
of
very
different
amazing,
people live
actually,
in
yes. Of
Azraq.
course,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you
brilliant.
very much.
Good fun. Thank you.
Yeah, see you later
Yeah.
again, my friend.
Yeah, we'll see you on the
We'll
way
see you
out.
outside, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, really interesting little snippet or insight into local life there. So he's a Druze who came over from Lebanon, he said, and this whole town was sort of rebuilt by the Druze, he was saying, and they lived here in this castle that he was just showing us around where he works now for several years while they established themselves around the oasis. And yeah, and he said the villages to the south are Chechen, and then there's obviously Bedouin tribes who roamed around and then settled here as well. So it's a real sort of meeting place of cultures and people, as it has been for 2,000 years since the Romans built this place. And yeah, as I was saying before, this was the edge of the Roman Empire. So we're in a real frontier feel to the town as well, because you're right on the Saudi border as well. I mean, the border is maybe 50, 60 kilometers away, but it's still, this is the first major town once you get across that border. So it really feels like it's a kind of, it is a border town. And there's, you drive down the street and there's just huge trucks, there's customs posts, there's military outposts, there's police all over the place. But it's a cool rustic place. It's rough around the edges, but I like it. It's got some character to it. Alright, so before we head back to the Azraq Lodge, we're just going to take a little walk through town. And we're just on the outside of the old castle here. And yeah, there's not a huge amount going on, as you can see. We're going to go and try and find some falafel for dinner. Yeah, it's just a little frontier town, really. We'll see what we find. Yeah, you can see a lot of trucks coming through, all heading from Iraq or heading to Saudi. I saw a lot of buses earlier as well. Oh, you can get beer as well. I think the bar might be closed though. Serving Amstel. Amazing. Finally, the sun came out as well. Yeah, even out here you can find your own little oasis of Amstel. The doors are locked. So no beer today. So Rafat at the castle guide, he directed us to some falafel places which we're trying to find. So So we're just in like the city centre, I guess, town centre. Not very big.
Oh, there's some English as well.
Where?
Falafel, there we go.
Ah, yeah, falafel. All right, we found some falafel. Let's go get some falafel. All right, we found the falafel sandwich. Oh, nice, thanks.
There we go. Chickpea, beans. Nice.
Everything you need. Falafel sandwich, chickpeas, beans, whatever you need. All right, so what a steal. So we've got 2 hummus wraps loaded with fries, gherkins, chilies, etc. and a massive pot of hummus, all for 2 dinars, which is like £2.50. Crazy cheap. There we go, Azraq town. What a lovely little town it is. We are going to be spending one night in Azraq in the old British military hospital. But of course they've done it up completely. Now, I'm not one for hotel tours usually, but this has a lot of history behind it. Built by the British. Now, the British man is still staying here. A pretty cool spot. And this was 75 jods. Not the cheapest, of course, it's about 80 quid. You can get places in Azraq for a third of that, half of that. But those places don't have quite as much history as this. Good morning from Azraq, deep in the eastern deserts. But yeah, today, after waking up in a hospital, a military hospital, admittedly, it's now a rather lovely hotel, we'll be heading even deeper into the eastern deserts. First, we'll be heading north to find some petrol, and then from there, we'll be joining the Baghdad International Highway. Now, we won't be taking the car over to Iraq. However, we are going to try and explore what is an unusual border, basically. It's an unusual piece of land, geography, called the Iraqi Panhandle, which was effectively intended to connect Jordan with Iraq when the two were British mandates. And if you look at the map, I'll put up a little picture of it. It's a very unusually straight corridor, and there's just one road heading straight across it, and that road eventually leads to Baghdad. Yeah, we won't be going that far, but we'll see how far we can get. There's a little town about halfway along, which is the last town in Jordan before the border. So if we've got time, it's about 3 hours drive from here, I think, and then another 3 hours back this way. We'll see if we can check it out and see what's happening in Jordan's most easterly town, Ruwaished. I have to warn you, I was looking this place up, there's not much to do there. It seems like the only sort of news articles and anything I could really find on it either consisted of interviews with Iraqi and Jordanian truckers who were running stuff over the border, or smugglers and drug dealers. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, let's hit the road. But it feels like there's just like nothing out here. So yeah, we'll just head north, and then we're going to join the Baghdad International Highway heading towards Iraq. Iraq's about 230 kilometers away, I think. But the most easterly town in Jordan is maybe 140 k's away. So let's see if we can get there. Okay, we just pulled over here on the side of the road. We've seen one car in the last 50 kilometers since leaving Azraq. As soon as you get out of the towns here, it's just empty highway. Oh, it's the first car we've heard or seen in about 50 kilometers of it. There's loads of them now. Bloody hell, I think they're the Saudi drivers coming through. Alright, the boy racers coming through the desert. But yeah, this road heading north that we're on now, that joins up with the Baghdad International Highway, this would effectively have been the Roman frontier. This was what they called the Roman limes, and this was the edge of the empire. So to my east here, this would have been the barbarian territory. This would have been where, the Romans didn't tread. And to the west was Roman civilization, where the Romans built great great cities in Arabia and across all the way to my home in the UK, up to Hadrian's Wall. We've just taken a break from the insane amount of potholes, pulled over on the side of the Baghdad International Highway. So this road goes all the way to the Iraqi border and then onwards to Baghdad, where I was about a year ago, before I started making videos. But perhaps one day I'll return and make some YouTube videos from Iraq. Yeah, right now, this road goes to the most easterly town in Jordan. So we're now in the Panhandle, which is the unnatural piece of territory that connects Jordan across the desert to Iraq. And this unusual piece of border came about because of the British. When they were creating the borderlines in the Middle East, they decided that they needed a corridor across the desert between Syria, which was French, and Saudi Arabia, to connect their two protectorates, which was Jordan and Iraq. And for a brief while in the 1950s, after both countries had their independence, Iraq and Jordan actually became one united country called the Arab Federation, at the same time that Syria and Egypt became the Arab Republic. It was very short-lived. It lasted for about 6 months, I believe, and then it all kind of quickly fell apart, and you now have two independent nations, Iraq and Jordan. So yeah, we're going to continue down the Baghdad highway as far as Ruwaished, I think it's called, where we're going to try and find some lunch in Jordan's most eastern town. So we are now in the town proper, just driving through, and it feels a bit more like civilization. Although, admittedly, there's not a huge amount here. There's a lot of pictures of military generals and lots of sandbags, lots of police, and I think lots of army bases. So it's, yeah, kind of how I imagined, dusty little border town, basically, just before you get to Iraq. But yeah, we found this restaurant on Google, which was getting pretty good reviews, considering it's in probably the most isolated town in Jordan. So we're going to go and try and find that. And yeah, then we'll check out the town if there's much to see. It doesn't look like there's much to see. Quite a lot of shops, actually. So I guess this is like a big kind of truck stop, I suppose, on the highway between Baghdad and Amman. And yeah, then we're going to turn around and head back. So yeah, we've come all this way. Hopefully we'll get something good to eat, and then we've got another 300 k's to go back to the main part of Jordan. This is the destination.
This is the fanciest service station I've ever been to.
We made it to Ruwaished. Mission complete. This is officially the most easterly town in Jordan, and on the face of it, doesn't look like there's much here. It kind of just appears to be a big truck stop. Lots of trucks from Iraq, from Jordan, stopping off here. However, there may be one hidden gem here that we're about to walk into and discover. This grand palatial building behind me, I'm not sure if you can see from the angle of the video, appears to be a humble truck stop. But it's got a lovely little outdoors area. It looks like a Greco-Roman palace. And yeah, I guess this is where all the trucks stop off, get some hummus, falafel, and then carry on the road. So yeah, let's see how Jordan's most easterly restaurant stacks up. All right, so this is the most lavish truck stop I think I've ever been to.
We are vegetarian, no meat.
No meat?
No meat.
Chicken?
No chicken.
No chicken.
Chicken? Rice and okra?
Yeah, rice, okra.
Rice, okra, yeah.
Okay, rice. حبيبي لا والله انت اللي انا ما خصني
Nice, shukran. Oh wow, it's all the rice. So yeah, we walked in, pretty friendly in here. Guy helped us out ordering some rice and curries. And yeah, we'll check out how the food stacks up.
From England. England.
England. Are you? Jordan? Oh yeah, Iraqi. Ah, okay. Nice. So yeah, there's a lot of Iraqi truck drivers here smoking shisha and eating food. All right, so we ended up with
All sorts.
absolute feast from the buffet. We got more's coming
Super.
as well.
Yeah, quite nice.
Nice.
Cook Sprite.
Oh, drinks. Fanta.
Yes.
Cool, yeah, so we're going to dig into this truck
Yeah.
stop feast, which actually looks incredible. We've got lentil soup, we've got side salads, pickles, hookah curry, huge plate of rice. Shukran, shukran. Amazing.
Nice.
I think this is the best service station I've been to in a long time.
Imagine if you got all of this in the UK.
It makes it amazing. Cool. So yeah, check this place out. I'll put the link in the comments. If you ever find yourself in Jordan's most easterly town, maybe you will. Maybe you'll be driving to Iraq, or like us, just enjoy some geographical curiosities. I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna dig in. Cheers. So this is the exceptional food. Ruwaished's #1 rated truck stop. Amazing. Look at this spread. Damn, curry is fantastic. Worth driving 200 kilometers just for this. So there we have it. What a pleasant little surprise at the end of our long journey into Jordan's eastern deserts. Palatial truck stop at the end of the line. So yeah, if you're ever here in Ruwaished, then check out Restaurant and Lounge Al Ghanim. And so this is the end of the line for us here as well in Eastern Jordan. And what a interesting geopolitical historical adventure it has been. We've seen drunken borders drawn in the stands by British and French statesmen. We've met people from the Druzi sect of Islam. We've seen dried up oases, Roman castles on the frontier, and we've met some really interesting people. So yeah, I'd highly recommend getting yourselves out here to Jordan's eastern deserts. And yeah, from here we are heading back into Jordan proper, out of the Panhandle. And we're heading into the northern borderlands towards the Syrian and then the Palestinian and Israeli borders. So join me next time as I explore Jordan's northern borderlands.